The date is August 18th, 2016, at around 8 p.m. in LeClaire Park, Davenport, Iowa. Many local residents are hanging out there as they normally would. There are people playing games of chess, walking their dogs, and all around enjoying the atmosphere of pleasant temperatures in a beautiful park. At this point in time, the mobile game Pokemon Go was quite popular, and many people would frequent the park whilst engaging with the app. One of these people was 29-year-old Romane Nunn, a father of 3, and he was also an army vet that had served 2 tours of duty in Iraq. On this evening, he had attended the park to play Pokemon Go, as had become a pattern in his life. Whilst there, he begins conversing with 2 acquaintances that also played the same mobile game. Their names are Jason and Amber. All 3 of them were near the river, with Jason and Amber sitting on a bench, and Romane standing next to them, eating a packet of chips. Conversation was light-hearted. It centered around their children, the Pokemon Go game, and general chit-chat. Out of nowhere, their attention abruptly turns toward an unknown man who was power-walking towards them. As this man approached, he can be heard yelling, "Mr. Romane, are you Mr. Romane?" Romane replies that yes, he is indeed Romane, but not Mr. Romane, and then the unknown man claims that he is in violation of the law. Jason, who's still sitting on the park bench, asks this man, "What did Romane do?" And that's when the man screams, "You raped my girl." Romane retorts that he has no idea about anything he is being accused of, and he must have the wrong person. In the midst of this confusion, the man pulls out a knife and continues to accuse Romane of sexually assaulting his girlfriend. This goes on for a minute, during which Romane recognizes who this aggressor is, a 43-year-old man called William Crawford. In between the argument, Romane manages to send a message from his phone to one of his friends. It reads, "The dude that was beating on his girl thinks he's gonna stab me." The incident Romane was referring to when he messaged his friend occurred 10 days prior. The police were called to the same park for domestic violence on this date. William had been attacking his 40-year-old girlfriend, Amanda Baker, and police were called in to break it up. Romane was present for this incident and observed the whole thing unfold. Now, William was standing in front of him with a knife, saying that he had raped Amanda. After a bit of back and forth, William swings the knife wildly. It misses, but Romane stumbles back and falls to the floor. As he gets up, Romane repeatedly states that he hasn't raped anyone. Once his balance is regained, Romane turns and walks away. William pursues him, and when Romane turns around again, the others saw him put his hands in the air and say that he has no idea what's going on. "You've got the wrong guy." Amber, the woman sitting on the bench, calls 911, and as she continues to watch this altercation unfold, William stabs Romane in the chest. Romane falls to the ground, clearly injured. He struggles to get on his feet, and when he does, he backs away and then falls to the ground. This time, he does not stand back up. Whilst he's on the ground, William kicks his head twice. Jason, the other man on the bench, said that there was a lot of force behind these kicks, like he was kicking a soccer ball. William continues to attack Romane, and 2 more men run over to join in. One of them jumps in the air and stomps on Romane's head and chest. This happens twice, whilst the other man is hitting and punching him on the ground. The witnesses described the attack as vicious, and it looked like they were attempting to kill him. Romane is no longer moving, and eventually all 3 of the attackers flee. Law enforcement and EMS arrive, but cannot find any of the attackers. Romane is transported to hospital, where they find the knife had hit his heart, damaging the aorta. They attempt to perform surgery on him, but it's unsuccessful. Romane passes away due to his injuries. A large amount of witnesses who are at the park speak to law enforcement, and using both personal knowledge and photo lineups, very quickly William Crawford is identified as the main aggressor. It's provided that he was wearing black shorts and a black t-shirt, and straight away police begin a search for the man. Some of the officers were already familiar with William and know of a nearby apartment where he had been staying. There were numerous instances where these officers were called out to this address for domestic violence-related issues and disturbances. When they go there to look for him, the man who owns the lease on this apartment is Thomas Helt. He indicates that indeed both Amanda Baker and William Crawford stay at his place frequently, but they don't live there, and at this very time, neither of them were present in the apartment. He last saw William around 4 a.m. that morning, and Amanda at 2 p.m. Although, he does note that he went out for around 10 minutes at 10 p.m, and when he got back, the front door was slightly ajar, as though someone had come and gone. He agrees to let the officers look around his residence, and when asked if anything seems out of place, he indicates that there's a pair of black shorts strangely located on the floor in the common area. He has no idea who they belong to or how they got there. Police check these shorts out and find a wallet with ID in it for William Crawford. The shorts are collected, and it's later learned that Romane's blood was present on them. Around 3:34 a.m., William is picked up, walking towards Thomas's apartment. He tells officers that he was leaving a friend's birthday party, and at no point was he at the park all day. Throughout a police interview, William holds down the position that he wasn't at the park, and it was likely Amanda's ex who had committed the crime. He says that he was at a friend's party drinking heavily all night, but interestingly enough, the detectives note that he didn't smell of alcohol and didn't display any signs of intoxication. William repeatedly asks, what is he being held for? When he's informed that a man is dead and he's a suspect, he tells the detectives that they're trippin'. Strangely enough, at one point, he even sings lyrics from the Billy Joel song, The Longest Time. After the interview, police find blood on William's shoe, and it's at this point that he's arrested and charged with first-degree murder. The other two men involved are also quickly apprehended, one of them having Romane's blood on his shoes as well. They too are charged with murder. William goes to trial and enters a plea of not guilty. During the proceedings, he would take the stand in his own defense, where he admits to being the one who stabbed Romane, but never intended for him to die. Quote, "I want to tell you, I did it, but it wasn't me, it was my actions." William claims that he does have an explanation for why this whole thing happened. The night before the incident, William and Amanda were at the apartment where they were staying, and Amanda had been drinking heavily. She had gotten into an altercation with another woman who was there, and a fight broke out. William told Amanda to leave the apartment before cops arrive, and she does so. He's unsure at this point where she's planning on going, but he doesn't follow her. A few hours later, patrol officers who are driving around the area find Amanda, who's not wearing a shirt, wandering the streets. They stop to ask if she needs any help, and Amanda informs them that she had been sexually assaulted only moments ago, but no, she doesn't want their help. She refuses to cooperate and doesn't provide them with any information regarding what had happened to her. She's very much against the idea of going to the police station, and also claims to not need medical assistance. After repeated attempts to help her, she finally agrees to get in the vehicle with them, and they provide her a shirt to wear. The officers drive her back to Thomas's apartment, where she and William had been staying, and at this point, no further action is taken. She goes inside, and the officers leave. Several hours later, a 911 call is placed by William, who's upset that his girlfriend had been sexually assaulted, and law enforcement were doing nothing about it. 3 officers respond to this call-out, and meet both William and Amanda at the apartment. Once more, Amanda is refusing to cooperate, but they are able to get information out of William. Amanda had informed him that she was attacked in a nearby garage, where the assailant was a black male with no facial hair. During the attack, he had used a knife to scratch Amanda's side and ankle. When officers look over her body, they do confirm that she had a scratch down her side, and they take note of some bruising that looked like it was more than a day old. Further information from Amanda indicates that the person who attacked her was driving a gold-colored vehicle. Officers leave and begin an investigation, and then this leads into the next day. At 1 p.m., William heads to the park, which, as mentioned, is a popular spot for many of the local residents. On this day, William had met up with a few of his friends, and they were all playing chess in the park. Around 2 p.m., William starts to consume alcohol, and at 4:15 p.m., Amanda arrives to bring him some food. Everything seems to be calm, the afternoon is pleasant, and the park is bustling with activity as William plays chess with his friends, and Amanda watches on. At this very same time, Romane was down by the bench with the two others, and they were all playing Pokemon Go. At some point, Amanda Baker spots Romane, and according to William, he says she jumps up and starts moving backwards. He asks her what's wrong, and using his words, she just kept acting like she couldn't breathe, like the life left her body. She points towards Romane and says, "That's him, over there. That's the man who attacked me." Friends who were playing chess recall that at this point, it seemed like all hell broke loose. One of them was hesitant to believe what Amanda was saying, and he felt as though, for whatever reason, she was trying to rile William up. Whatever her motive, it would appear that William did indeed respond to his girlfriend's claims. He tells Amanda to call the police, and according to him, walks over to talk to the man in question. At this point, William says that he asked Romane if he was the one that touched the female the other night. Romane responds, "What female?" and begins making movements to walk away. William runs up on Romane and grabs his shirt. He swings a punch at Romane and asks the man that he's attacking, "So you like cutting females on their side?" Romane retorts, "I don't know what you're talking about." William pulls out his knife and exclaims, "If I cut you on your side, would you like that?" Romane trips as he tries to get away, and from this point, William mentions that the altercation really started to heat up. His words are, quote, "I just wanted to beat him up, no matter what he said. I just felt like you did this to her, and you sitting up here lying. But I did not, and I mean this. I did not want him to die, not at all. That's the truth." William says that after Romane fell to the floor, they tussled for a bit, and then the knife was revealed. At this moment, Romane attempted to grab the knife from William's hand. Quote, "As I was coming in, that's when he got poked. But I do not believe that it went all the way in where they said it did, because after that, I kicked him and said, 'Nah, ain't nothing wrong with you.' My mind just blanked to where I didn't realize this man was really, truly stabbed, and the other guys didn't realize either." These other two men he's referring to are 46-year-old Terrell Block and 35-year-old Darrell Parks Jr., the two men who are identified as attackers as well. William's story continues. "It happened so fast. I did not leave my apartment that day with this on my mind. I'm going to get this person. That was not my intention." William says that after he fled from the incident, he tossed the knife and went to the apartment to change his clothes. From that point, he did attend a friend's birthday party, and following that, he was picked up by police. When asked why did he lie in his police interview, he explains that he wanted to tell his story to a jury, but not to law enforcement. Throughout the trial, some troubling jail phone calls between Amanda and William were played. On these calls, he tells her that the man is dead and she doesn't have to worry about it no more. Amanda replies that God don't like ugly and what happened to him is justice. She then indicates that she was going to go to the location where Romane was stabbed and spit on it. As more evidence is introduced, it's learned that absolutely Romane was not the individual who attacked Amanda the night before. He has an alibi. The description of him having no facial hair doesn't match, seeing as he was sporting a full beard. and the reported attacker drove a gold vehicle, whereas Romane only ever had access to a green car. It's interesting to note that later on, Amanda admits that she wrongfully identified Romane as her attacker, seeing as down the track, law enforcement finds surveillance footage capturing the incident. A man named Travis Jones was identified, and he was driving a silver Chrysler at the time. William is found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to 50 years in prison. 70% of it must be served behind bars before being eligible for parole. The two other men were found guilty of lesser charges, and Darrell was sentenced to 10 years in prison, with Terrell receiving 5 years. At the sentencing hearing, the judge would have this to say: "Sometimes I don't agree with the legislature when they have mandatory sentences, because sometimes I don't think they take into consideration human beings. But in this case, I think it's an applicable and appropriate sentence for someone who is engaged in the conduct you've engaged in. It was a senseless killing. It's a prime example of why what many people perceive to be justifiable vigilante justice is not justifiable at any time. You decided to act as Romane Nunn's judge, jury, and executioner. He had no opportunity to explain. He had no opportunity to let you know he didn't do the things you thought he did. And in this case, you were just plain wrong. A mandatory sentence is appropriate in these types of cases, not only to protect the community, but hopefully to deter others from this type of conduct. This wasn't just an ordinary father who was taken, but somebody who was very active in caring for his children and who had a close relationship with them. You've also caused a great deal of pain to Miss Nunn, Romane's grandmother, along with the other family members of Romane and his friends, and you've created fear within this community of people just going out and enjoying parks and simple things like that." End quote. It's at this point in the video that I've finished presenting the facts of the case, and will now go over some information regarding the victim. Romane was born in 1986 in Davenport. He proudly served in the US Army with 2 tours in Iraq, and was passionate about his military service. Romane was a stainless steel welder at various manufacturing companies. He loved spending time with his children, and enjoyed playing Pokemon games. He was an active and caring father who had a good relationship with his ex-wife. The importance of family to him was above all else. At the sentencing hearing, William would address Romane's family and say, "I don't expect for you to forgive me, but I prayed and prayed. I have children too. It was my actions, and I cannot take that back. This is something that I have to live with for the rest of my life. I am very sorry." Romane's grandmother, who is more like his mother, responds to William, "Mr. Crawford, I forgive you, and the reason I am forgiving you is because I pray that this forgiveness will change your life. It will cause you to search in your heart for who you are or who you need to be." She would further go on to make quite a touching victim impact statement. "You've heard the name Romane Nunn a lot during trial. Today I want you to see the real Romane Nunn. This is my grandson. His life was taken from him. 29 years old and 3 children, one of them whom he spent a lot of time with because he was raising her on his own. Romane came to live with me when he was 10 years old. His father was not in his life, but he always wanted a relationship with him. We talked all the time about it. I would tell him, when you have a child, the most important thing is to take care of that child. He always made time for his children." Romane and his wife divorced, but she was a great mum, and she always made sure that her children got to see their father, especially the little one who would see him every weekend. This little girl, 2 days before his death, lit a candle for her father's birthday. She baked cookies for him. This is the life that was taken from us. Romane spent 2 years in Iraq. He came back. When you look at him, he's a big, husky guy. But if you could see in his heart, he would give you the shirt off his back. I often had to tell my grandson, Save something for yourself. Do not give everything away. I'd like to read this to you. My co-workers wrote this about my grandson. We little knew that morning that God would call your name. In life we loved you dearly. In death we do the same. It broke our hearts to lose you. You did not go alone, for part of us went with you the day God called you home. You left us peaceful memories. Your love is still our guide, and although we cannot see you, you're always at our side. There's one more piece of writing that Romane's grandmother presents to the court. She says, "I'd like to read this to you, and then I'll tell you who it's from. The United States of America honors the memory of Romane Nunn Sr. This certificate is awarded by a grateful nation in recognition of devoted and selfless consideration to the service of our country in the armed forces of the United States. Signed by the President of the United States, Barack Obama. This is the life that was taken from us. It left a hole in my heart, a hole in my family."